In this video, I'll introduce the basic gameplay of Crown and War. The basics are quite simple, so just bear with me through about 7 minutes of this tutorial. Let's assume we are continuing our two-player game. I'm playing as Spain, and my imaginary friend is playing as Britain. The other three factions, Russia, the Ottomans, and Prussia, will be controlled by the AI. Each turn is represented by a season: spring, summer, autumn, and winter. During a turn, a player has 3 options to choose from. Once the player decides which one of the 3 options they want to use, it must be announced before taking their turn. First option that you can choose is to move or attack with your armies and fleets. Second option, buy and recruit. For example, you can purchase science banknotes or upgrades or recruit new units into your armies. Third option, skip the turn. By doing this, you will gain resources, the crowns, because skipping represents focusing on your faction's internal finances. We are currently in spring. Another player and I roll dice to determine who will take the first turn. Since I rolled the higher number, I'll start, and I've decided to use this turn to buy upgrades. First, I want to buy a new title, upgrading from Viscount to Duke. This upgrade allows me to command 2 armies instead of 1 and also grants additional victory points at the end of the game. According to the rule book, the title upgrade from Viscount to Duke costs 6 sciences. Next, I want to buy a skill that lets me build larger armies of 5 units instead of 3. A skill costs 8 sciences. Altogether, I need 14 sciences, but I currently have only 11. That's why I'll first buy 3 more sciences. I announce to the other player that I want to buy 3 sciences, then roll 2 dice. Let's say I get a 4 and a 6, which adds up to 10. This means 1 science costs me 10 crowns. Since I declared I'd buy 3 sciences, I pay 30 crowns and take them. Now that I have enough sciences, I can proceed. First, I upgrade my title from Viscount to Duke, and second, I buy the big army skill and place a token on my faction card. As a Duke, I can now have 2 armies. According to the rulebook, an army costs 10 crowns, so I build a second army for 10 crowns and place it on the map. It doesn't have any units yet. I want both of my armies to be fully equipped, so I'll purchase additional infantry units. Each infantry unit costs 4 crowns. Now that I have the big army skill, my armies can consist of 5 units each. That means I need 2 more units to complete my first army, and 5 units to fill up my newly built one, 7 units total, which equals 28 crowns. I pay the 28 crowns, take the units, place 2 into the old army and 5 into the new one. With that, my turn is finished. Now Britain's turn. My British opponent decides to spend this turn on buying sciences and ships. Each ship costs 4 sciences, and he needs 2 to secure a sea trade route. He pays 8 sciences and buys 2 ships and places them on the board close to his province. Hereby, the first turn spring is complete. Let's move the hourglass to summer, and it's my turn again. This time, I want to start conquering new lands. I have 2 strong armies. This one has 5 infantry units plus a spy special unit, which gives me a +2 bonus to my first die roll. Confident in my strength, I march into Portugal. Portugal is a separate land, not part of any province. It's a sovereign land. When conquered, it becomes a protectorate. Sovereign lands always have a garrison of 5 infantry units. The battle begins. Thanks to my spy, my first roll gets a +2 bonus. Let's say I roll a 6, while Portugal rolls a 2. With the spy bonus, I actually have 8 attack points. The difference between our rolls is 8 minus 2, which equals 6, meaning I destroy 6 of Portugal's units. But since Portugal only had 5 units, that means their army is completely wiped out. Portugal has fallen, and Spain emerges victorious. Portugal is now my protectorate. And not to forget, as a reward for winning the battle, I gain 1 science. That concludes my turn. We'll dive deeper into battle mechanics in future videos, but for now, you can see the basics. We're still in summer, and it's now Britain's turn. Britain decides to attack a neighboring land in the Chinese province. This land is part of the Chinese province, which follows slightly different rules when it comes to garrison size. Unlike Portugal, the number of defending units here is determined by a die roll. So Britain moves its army in and rolls the die to determine the garrison size. The roll is a 3, meaning the land has 3 defending units. So we place 3 garrison units on the map. Note, if the roll had been a 1, the garrison would be considered too weak, and the land would surrender by being peacefully purchased for a price of 2 sciences. But that's not the case this time. So it's a battle. Britain's army includes a Dragoon special unit, which grants a unique ability. For the first 2 battle rolls, it can roll 2 dice each time and choose the better result. As mentioned in the previous battle between Spain and Portugal, the difference between rolls determines casualties. Without going into the full battle details this time, let's say that after a few exchanges, Britain wins the battle, claims the land, and earns 1 science as a reward. If Britain manages to conquer all 3 lands in China, it will be able to form the complete Chinese province. Next, Britain uses its 2 ships to claim a sea trade route. To do so, the player exchanges the 2 ships for a protectorate token, which is then placed on the route. If the route is attacked later, that token can be converted back into ships. With that, the second turn, summer, is complete. Here we come to autumn, and it's Spain's turn again. This time, I'll focus on preparing for overseas expansion. I want to buy a ship to transport my army to the African continent. But to build ships, I'll need more sciences. A ship costs 4 sciences according to the rule book. Therefore, I declare that I want to buy 4 sciences. Let's say I roll a 2 and a 3 for a total of 5. That means each science costs me 5 crowns, so 4 sciences will cost 20 crowns in total. I pay the 20 crowns and take my 4 sciences. With these, I can now purchase 1 ship. I place the ship close to my province on Gibraltar Sea area, which is between Europe and Africa, and with it I declare that my turn is finished. We are still in autumn, and it's Britain's turn. Britain decides to skip the turn, which means it takes no actions this round, and instead collects 3 crowns as compensation, representing a focus on internal affairs. With that, the third turn, autumn, is complete. Winter arrives. We move the hourglass to winter, and it's my turn again as Spain. I decide to transfer my army stationed in Portugal to Africa, using my new ship as a bridge. The land I want to conquer is part of the West African province, so I roll a die to determine the enemy garrison size, and then we engage in battle. This time, let's assume that unfortunately for Spain, the defenders are strong, and I lose the battle. However, when losing a battle, I still have the option to retreat. So now, I attempt to retreat my army back onto the ship and return to Europe. I roll a die and get a 3. On a result of 1, 2, or 3, my army, with 1 surviving unit, retreats safely. If the result had been 4, 5, or 6, I would have lost the entire army. Meanwhile, I move my other army closer to the next land I plan to attack. Here I conclude my turn. Now Britain's turn. Britain once again skips the turn, earning 4 crowns for its second consecutive skip. The fourth turn, winter, is complete, and now we move to the global turn. In the global turn, players will receive their income and roll for a global event. It's also a time when AI factions Russia, Ottomans, and Prussia will take their turns as well, but that will be explained more in detail in the next tutorial video. See you there.